lot of you grow chickens, you may grow turkeys, but a lot of these subscribers on this channel, we've even got some game bird growers. So this video is for you. Hey, I'm here today actually on the farm with John Tuck, Tuck Farms. Thanks for meeting with us, John.
Good to be here.
So like I said, we've got some quail growers, some pheasant growers, some game bird, and I don't know as much about that. So I want you to just tell me what are some things, because as I understand, Tuck Farms is one of the largest in the country. I think 1.4 million birds you're shooting for this year. Is that correct?
Chicks. Yeah.
Chicks, 1.4 million chicks that are going to be putting out. So what are some things that you have found that helped you, and what could you help with some quail growers on how to get as good a bird as possible?
Yeah, so a lot of times I'll sell eggs to folks or chicks, and of course they're going to call back and ask questions, and we want to be helpful to these guys. But what we've learned is a good probiotic system is a good start.
We like that part. We like that part.
Yeah.
But yeah, a good probiotic.
Right. So we often use acidifiers in our water to keep our pH nice. Pre-chick placement, we want to definitely go through and clean our drinker line system with some type of product that sanitizes it. Litter condition is important. Do we have nasty, dirty, wet litter? What kind of acidifiers there? What kind of products can we put down on that to make things right? Chick quality is great. You know, if you're producing your own eggs, what kind of chick quality you're getting, how quick are you getting your chicks to the barns after they were hatched.
So there's some things, and we talk about on this channel a lot. I say it a lot. One of the best things you can put on your farm is your shadow. Staying on top of these things and paying attention to these details. But this is really what drives this YouTube channel is you can do all the work you can, preventative, but there's still going to be some things that happen. I know that with quail, at least as I understand, ulcerative enteritis is a big one. So what are some other problems you all face that, you know?
Well, ulcerative enteritis is the biggest one. From time to time, we'll have some respiratory issues young in chicks. That can be challenging. But I always say, you know, the guy or the girl that's looking after the birds, they can really positively or negatively affect what's happening in there. So keeping a close eye on your birds and acting quickly. If you see something going wrong, be ready with some sort of treatment available, but don't just try to treat your way out of everything. Try to be way in front of it preventatively, and that's much cheaper, easier, and better if we can stay in front of it. So know what you're going to deal with, and then have some of those products on hand and ready to go whenever there is a break in some sort of a pathogen.
So we've got a video, I think it's coming out, by the time this one comes out, I think we've already done it, called It's Early Detection is the Key. Because like you say, we can't prevent everything. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, but if you pass that prevention and you're into a pound of cure, the quicker the cure comes, by having it on site, sounds like, is the way.
You don't want to try to go through getting a vet prescription for something and going to the lab and getting something diagnosed, because all these things take time, and if you're losing birds, you don't necessarily have time. You need to be able to act today. So be prepared for that. In quail production or game bird production, especially quail production, you know, there's such a thing as imprinting a bird. And so if you imprint him, that means he's going to be more domesticated. It's not going to fly great. It's not going to act wild. So there is a fine line in which you have got to walk to stay this side of imprinting, but on this side of good husbandry and management. So a lot of times, if all things are equal, we're going to look at the birds 2 times a week, maybe even for just 15 to 20 minutes where they're seeing a human. And on that trip around, we have got to make sure the equipment's right, the feed's right, the water's right, the birds look strong. And then when we walk out of there, we take all that data and then we implement it in a plan on what we do next. So obviously if there's a problem, we've got to go more often. So it's a fine line to walk.
You and Jason did a video not too long ago where you talked about the differences between growing turkeys and chickens and growing quail. To me, that's a huge one right there. I not really even thought about it. It ain't nothing to walk in a chicken house and you're shooing birds left and right. You do that 2 or 3 times a day, especially if you've got a problem.
Right.
But y'all can't do that.
No.
You've got to minimal interaction, but yeah, you still gotta. So the diagnosis time, I'm sure. So when you said your people can either help or you got to be able to diagnose pretty quick and be able to react.
Sure.
You don't want too much interaction time.
That's correct. If you see a problem, you've got to deal with it right now, and you can't miss it. So, and after a while, your eyes kind of get trained to a healthy bird to a problematic bird, and you've got to be able to say, okay, here's a problem. We got to think now and act now.
If you had one thing, just in closing, one thing you would encourage, I don't know, it may not even be with growing, maybe as a grower, but what would you give one shot advice to a quail grower that you would do? Top thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. It's hard to break it into. It's hard to break it into one thing. I would. You're going to have to be prepared and pay attention to details.
Wow.
That's what I would say, and that can go a million different ways.
Sure.
But temperature, cooling, heating systems, feed, water. All those little details that make up the big picture are critical.
Well, in that respect, it's just like growing a chicken. That's the thing. Yeah, absolutely. Paying attention to the detail and those air, water, feed, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, John, thanks for taking the time with us. I hope this helps our quail growers, and for those of you who watched anyway, give you a little insight on what it's like to grow quail, or even like these pheasants behind us. So until next time, if you got any questions on this, I'm not the person we'll get you in touch with, but give me a call, at 1-800-608-3755 or Alan at southlandorganics.com.